Let's bring in Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace. This is, well, I didn't expect this Friday surprise, did you?
No, and this is a big deal.
Yeah.
First of all, I think we're being way too nuanced and being somewhat cautious about saying they're reopening the investigation. The whole reason we know about this is because James Comey, the FBI director, in congressional testimony said that the investigation was complete. And so we had to send a letter to the chairs and top Democrats and all those committees amending his testimony because the investigation is no longer complete. As far as I'm concerned, that is reopening the investigation.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Secondly, you have got to know that James Comey did not want to reopen this investigation. A month ago, he was asked by a Republican congressman on the House Judiciary Committee about all the information that had come up since he closed the investigation in July and say, well, why don't you reopen it? He said, that doesn't come even close to reopening the investigation. So for him to do that now, just 11 days before the election, and I promise you he can read the calendar just like all the rest of us, this has to be substantial. Not saying that it's going to put it over the edge and result in a criminal case against Hillary Clinton, but this has to be substantial enough, and you know he didn't want to do this, that he had to, in effect, eat his words, go back to these committees, and announce this investigation fully aware of the bombshell effect this is going to have on the final week and a half of this campaign.
Do you have a sense for how much pressure there will be on him to give voters and others more information, whatever he has?
Well, you know, it's interesting. I've got the letter here that he wrote to the committee, and I keep reading it because there's nuance after nuance that you can find in this. And at one point he says, although the FBI cannot yet assess whether or not this material, this new material they have found, these emails may be significant, and I cannot predict how long it will take to complete this additional work. And the is, if you look at most FBI investigations, they take a long time. 11 days, they don't clear their throat in 11 days. And if this involves information, and he says one of the things they have to ascertain is whether these new emails that, according to the New York Times, came from Uma Abedin and or Anthony Weiner, whether or not there's classified information there, and they have to go back and check this with the intel community of the various agencies that were responsible for this information in the first place. I would have to think it's highly unlikely that this is going to be resolved before Election Day, which of course raises the possibility that millions of Americans are going to go to the polls. They're going to the polls right now, but will be going to the polls over the next 11 days up to and including Election Day, not knowing whether or not there's going to be a criminal case against Hillary Clinton.
It is sort of astounding. You wonder, we found out already from the reporting of the New York Times that this is from the Anthony Weiner case. That matter leaked out pretty quickly. I wonder if more context is going to come to us in a sort of behind-the-scenes way that they couldn't really release in written notification because of the fact that the Weiner case is open and it's criminal. I mean, if they're going to give us anything, they got to slide it in, you know?
Yeah, but I would think that the release of these emails and what impact they have, and you raise a good question, this might not involve Hillary Clinton. It could involve Uma Abedin. Did she have classified information in an insecure email setting? Was she sharing it with Anthony Weiner? There's all kinds of speculation you can have. I don't know, but I've got to think that given the fact that they were talking about this in terms of the Clinton investigation, not the Uma Abedin investigation, that this does involve, or at least questions are going to be raised about Hillary Clinton's criminal liability in all of these things, whether or not touches her or doesn't touch her.
How close was Uma Abedin? If I remember, she had been a part of this investigation from the beginning because of correspondences, or do I have two stories mixed up here? Wasn't
no,
she
she'd been involved in this case. She, in fact, was on Hillary Clinton's private server. Uma Abedin was, in terms of personal relationship and actual physical proximity, Hillary Clinton's closest aide during the time she was Secretary of State, and frankly, during most of this campaign, so close that she has been called Hillary Clinton's second daughter. She was almost a member of the family, is almost a member of the family. And in all of the emails we've seen in WikiLeaks, the point of contact, you never see Hillary Clinton sending emails, but the point of contact between the campaign and Hillary Clinton is almost invariably Uma Abedin. So She is as close as you can get to Hillary Clinton.
Bill and Hillary Clinton hosted Anthony Weiner and Uma Abedin's wedding reception at their home up in Chappaqua. Bill and Hillary Clinton greeted everyone and spoke of her lovingly as a second daughter. Has been widely seen as the closest person to Hillary Clinton throughout most of her professional life, right, Chris?
Well, certainly in recent years. I mean, just think about this. You know, in this election, which has been so crazy, so unprecedented in so many ways, we have an FBI investigation about sexting texts that Anthony Weiner may or may not have sent to an underage girl. The FBI is investigating that and apparently comes across information that they feel is so important, so significant, that they have to reopen the Hillary Clinton email investigation 11 days before she possibly could be elected the next president of the United States. You couldn't write that kind of a script in terms of merging of all kinds of different elements, savory and unsavory, and involving the highest stakes in American politics. It's